Automation framework, Priceline versus Keybank. Below are some similarities and differences between them. Let's start with the similarities. Both used Selenium WebDriver with Java as the base technology. Both followed the page object model for clean separation of UI logic and test code. Both used TestNG as the test runner for grouping, parameterization, and parallel execution. Both had log4j for logging and extend and allow reports for reporting integrated for detailed visibility. Both supported cross-browser testing and parallel execution through Selenium Grid or Dockerized environments. Both frameworks were Maven based for dependency management and build execution. In both, automation was tightly coupled with agile ceremonies and CI CD pipelines supporting continuous testing culture. Now, coming on to the key differences. Number one, framework type and approach. At Keybank, we used a BDD-based hybrid framework built with Selenium, Java, Cucumber, and TestNG. It focused on business collaboration. Our test scenarios were written in Gherkin syntax, so product owners and business analysts could easily understand and review them. At Priceline, it's a non-BDD hybrid framework using Selenium with Java and TestNG, but without Cucumber. Here, the focus is on speed, maintainability, and continuous integration rather than business readable syntax. Number two, business domain and objective. Keybank, being in the financial domain, our framework was built to ensure traceability, compliance, and audit readiness. Every test was linked back to a Jira story or requirement in QTest. At Priceline, which is a travel and booking platform, the focus is more on regression stability, faster releases, and quick feedback loops in CI CD pipelines. Number three, CI CD integration. Keybank used Jenkins and GitLab CI mainly with nightly regression and tag based executions like @smoke, @critical paths, etc. At Priceline, test execution is tightly integrated with GitLab pipelines running automatically on each merge or build trigger, supporting continuous testing. Number four, reporting and traceability. At Keybank, reports from Extent and Allure were pushed to QTest and Confluence, used for audits and program level dashboards. At Priceline, Allure reports are integrated directly into GitLab CI, helping devs and QAs view results instantly after each run. Number 5. Framework architecture. Keybank's framework was heavier and layered with POM, step definitions, utilities, test data, config, and reporting folders, optimized for reusability and documentation clarity. Pricelines is leaner and faster, more focused on modular automation scripts, CI CD pipelines, and quick maintenance. Now, coming on to the folder structure for both Priceline and Keybank. This is going to be a framework explanation in simple English. Both at Keybank and Priceline, we used a structured automation framework built on Selenium WebDriver with Java, but the folder structure and organization reflected the different goals of each project. At Keybank, our framework followed a BDD based hybrid model, so it had a few extra layers compared to a standard Selenium setup. We had folders like features, steps, and hooks for the Cucumber layer, where our Gherkin feature files lived. Each business flow, like login, payments, or transfers, had its own feature file written in plain English, and those were linked to step definition classes in the steps folder. The page classes were stored in the pages folder following the page object model, while the hooks folder handled setup and teardown, like launching browsers, taking screenshots on failure, or closing sessions. We also had dedicated folders for test data with Excel and JSON. We had config files, utilities, drivers, and reporting. The framework was more layered and descriptive, designed for traceability, compliance, and business readability. Since it was a banking environment, we needed clear mapping between feature files, requirements, and test evidence, so the structure supported that. At Priceline, the framework is leaner and faster because it's not BDD based. It's a pure hybrid framework using TestNG. So instead of feature files and step definitions, we simply have test classes inside a test folder. The structure still includes familiar folder like pages, core, utils, reporting, test data, and config, but without the BDD components. For example, the pages folder still holds our page object classes. The core folder manages browser setup and driver factory logic. The utils folder handles reusable functions like reading JSON data, connecting to the database, or capturing screenshots. The reporting folder manages Allure and extent reports integration. And instead of Cucumber runners, TestNG XML files define the execution flow like smoke, regression, or critical path test. So we do not have Cucumber runners in it. We instead have TestNG XML files to define the execution flow. So if I summarize the key differences, Keybank's structure includes extra BDD layers like features, steps, and hooks because it's Cucumber based and meant for business traceability. Priceline structure is simpler and CI/CD focused, using just TestNG test classes and suit XMLs for execution. But both framework also share a lot of common elements. They both follow page object model. Both have utility and config folders, use Maven for dependency management, and include Allure and extent reports, Log4j, and cross-browser testing setups. Both are fully integrated with CI/CD pipelines, Jenkins at Keybank, and GitLab at Priceline. So, in simple terms, Keybank's folder structure is more documented, layered, and compliance driven, while Priceline's structure is more lightweight, CI integrated, and optimized for fast regressions runs. Both share the same backbone, but they are tuned for two different worlds: banking versus e commerce, and business traceability versus execution speed.